Alright, I figured I'd make a video about this, so after some time now. So, what I feel about Fallout 76. So, good about history though, I've been playing Fallout since Fallout 2, so played Fallout 1, 2, Tactics, Brother of the Seal. Yes, I played that game. Yes, I played the multiplayer for that game. I haven't played Tactics though. Um, I haven't played the multiplayer Tactics whatsoever. I don't know much about the information other than the hearsay from the people. But it's still I played with by myself with a player. Hands were player one, feet were player two. Would not recommend it, by the way. Don't do it. It was a fad. Let it stay a fad back then. Let it die out. Um, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout Shelter, Fallout 4. Funny thing, Fallout 4 is actually the 8th Fallout game. And Fallout 76, which is the third Fallout game with multiplayer. So, Fallout 76 is not an MMO. With amount of people on a server, though, the amount of people collectively and such, though, is not enough to equate to an MMO. It's kind of, but it's all good. Now, I want to talk about at least friendly or not so friendly nature of people you can encounter from people. This is coming from an Xbox player, okay, and hearing second reports from people more PC, and to be fairly honest, I always hear the worst side from PC though. Xbox, I always hear like the most nicest. Then PlayStation too, but partially mainly more Xbox a little better though. I don't know. Xbox does have the biggest community though. It's personally much bigger than PC apparently by several degrees. I can look online on Xbox thing and I can see it's one of the top played multiplayer games on Xbox right now. But yeah. Um Community wise, there's a bit of this and bit of that. You get role players, you get some PvPers. I'll be honest, I was part of like two PvP groups before. First one fell apart over things. Someone actually went to jail for that one. But second one, well, and was someone starting stuff and yeah, someone cyber talking to someone. And current crew I in right now, I actually run the crew. So the thing we do is it's not a PvP for this one. Third one, I decided this is one I'm managing instead of me literally just joining some random one. And it's nice people though. But we just like do daily ops mostly. Jabber, shoot the breeze, whatever. It's mostly daily ops, to be honest. And by the way, current time, best time right now since else is 2 minutes and 47 seconds. Yeah, 47 seconds. So yeah, 247. And yeah, you can definitely say thinking on things. You can find some really, really awesome people out there, though. At least for Fallout, though, you can find people that with your likes and such. So, and there is quite a bit of lore that's untapped, but people don't really look. To be honest, a lot of people are kind of lazy on that. Like, how many people are gonna realize that you can actually listen to guided meditation, holotape anytime you want? How many people will actually realize that there is actually something behind Sugar Grove, or the fact that the strangle affection over on the Mire is actually not just expanded on there, but it's also expanded all in all the zones, but it's more prominent in the northeastern area. It's a bunch of if you look at the tree vegetations and such, you can see crawled infected. You can see thorn things or various plant things, basically. And Also, random fact: there's actually a couple of zombie infestations in Fallout 76. Hey, and I mean actual by scientific term, not like Hollywood thing. And this is like it's more like the Scorch infestation. This is the worst zombie infestation right now, which is basically the lethal Andromeda, but end of it all sort of thing. The entrail of it all is basically they're a hive mind, basically, but they have no control of their body, and you get to hear them say it. And some people are psychotic and they got taken over by it, and they let you know. But some people just have their minds fully absorbed. So, but as for Strangler is touchy. Strangler is a zombie infestation, but it's symbiotic at the same time not. It's kind of weird, but they can take over creatures or add as an extra appendage. I guess it's kind of weird. Or they use as a vector. It's weird, but yeah. This is probably I never really thought how long I'm gonna write this for. But Fallout 3, and this is a bit of history though. Fallout 1, I probably have about 400 hours, and Fallout 2 is about the same. Same thing for Brotherhood of Steel, and Tactics, I have like 300, 400, somewhere in that range. Could have more than that though, but um, 3. 3 is when I really cranked up the hours actually on them. 3, I lost track after 7,000 hours, and I used to have these manila things, used to write my hours down. Stopped counting about 7,000 some hours, and around Fallout New Vegas, I stopped counting around 6,000, and this was actually handwritten, so I get to actually know how many hours I had. So I had to go by the days and add them all up and such. So, and I had to start and finish. And if I took a break, I did not count the break in with it. So, yeah, didn't count sleeping. So if I wasn't sure if I had that many hours or probably not that, I won't count those hours. So if I accidentally clocked out, yeah, that didn't count it. So I would not doubt I'm probably the reason why there was a challenge added for playing 7,600 hours because how many times I kept talking to a bunch of Bethesda employees about that. uh, now, I can definitely say for interacting with the people, at least seeing any of the people from Bethesda or any of the game that worked on Fallout games, you realize at the end of the day, they're all people, okay? Gamers just like you and I. And to be fairly honest, with the release game like Fallout 76, and there was quite a bit of a slow, and I actually did hope for something quite like Fallout 76. Didn't go exactly according to plan. It's alright, nothing ever goes according to plan. Nuclear Wind didn't go according to plan either. Survival didn't go according to plan. Too many issues that people wanted to use as a free experience thing, and complaining about being PvP to the PvP mode. Whatever. That's the thing about Fallout 76 though. To be literally every Fallout game, so many ways to different play. Like different play styles and such. So different actions. I could definitely say about PvP I did in Fallout 76 heavily diluted from when I first started playing. Still remember the first time I actually killed someone with a melee weapon. That died out like within the first 3 days. When people, yeah, and people start getting some better weapons, and then people start getting explosive energy weapons, or by the way, two-shot explosive shotguns back then when it was like OP. And yeah, bunch of things been balanced, and there's still a bunch of things hit and miss. So there's been so many bug fixes I did in the game. There's a bunch of it went under the radar. Although there was some things that weren't. There's been and player vendor thing. That's still not fixed. There's still over 6 vendor still exploits? I'll never teach anyone how to do any of them. I refuse to do that. Or teach any exploits, but besides the point. For health and the future, Fallout 76, so. And looking out for people. But, yeah. Now, as for what I've been doing in Fallout 76 is, grinding a bit of the score, though. Still look for research things, and I was the guy that was... I did weekly, bi-weekly checks for... There was the mainframe room and the Enclave bunker. There was this is what made me think they were going to actually add a PvP event, and then they stopped adding lights, which really reaffirmed we're probably not getting that thing. So, yeah. Anyways, long story short, there was once upon a time, quite a long while ago, the mainframe room used to be turning on lights and such. There was only a few lights that were on for the mainframe things. There was rotating things, and there's a little circle right here. But anyways, every so often this cycles would go from red light from one thing, and it'll turn from red light, and that one will be turning blue, and it'll be cleaned off. And then another one will turn on from the opposite end, and then it will go back and forth, back and forth. So currently, right now, when you're looking at the bulk machine thing, and there's the left side, there's I think it's like the top of not that or swamp that there's the light on right now. So I mean, you can look right now, but yeah. So I figured for that was probably going to be related to the whole presidential thing. So when enough of those things would have been on, I think that would have been our first big PvP event, which PvP downscale heavily because of a lot of community feedback, and there was various stuff. There was so much stuff. Like, they tried 2 different PvP modes, and both of them kind of... like, most of the times I did PvP was in adventure mode. How many times people think that Stealth Boy makes him invisible? Right, in fact, it does not, actually. Fun fact about stealth fields. So all it is like a bit of a color spectrum thing. It's like a kind of what's the best word for it? Like stealth fields are more like a prism in a way. Light goes around and such. So but basically light bends around it. Basically, so you'll get some flicker of lights going off them, which gives a trajectory away. And that's basically what I look for. Then, well, my eyes. I have no problem seeing stealth enemies in daily ops. I can definitely say that. My one way to shine. That encrypted. I don't actually have a problem with encrypted. Although, I will say, though, with the recent changes they did with the energy balances, they did actually buff the encrypted. I agree with that. It made it more terrifying. But yeah. But I could definitely say with all things that they've done and such, though, current doings, just besides else, there's still I still got a bunch of vested things I want to look up though. And there's still those monstrosities. So much stuff in Appalachia that could be expanded on. It's just where to begin. I can kind of tell on some of the things they do, but things I would like to expand upon is I want to know the expansion upon. I have a theory that like the Mothman is like the only kind of creature that's been likely made by the aliens that has been left out and not that somehow escaped. It's just a theory, but eh. But every other creature we know of, though, we've actually can find out what it was. Like the Snallygaster, Yagwai. Kind of funny. I actually would have thought it would be human, but it's not. Um, Now, as for playstyles, there's quite a bit of playstyles people can have and such though in Fallout 76 though, and I've got currently right now I have four characters. Okay, one first character is a unarmed range explosive. Oh, I stopped using range. I'm really just doing range. It's like a rifleman sword. So, um, I do have a Tesla lover, and no, the Tesla lover is not a legacy. It still drops. The only legacy Tesla lover there is an explosive one, because you had a finite amount of time to actually put the Tesla lover mod on a explosive Tesla, which very few people have, and there are some PC users that have it. And you'll know if it's a Tesla lover if they haven't modified it. Uh, if Because it would not have a scope on it. Otherwise, the only other way they can modify is if they make it legendary for the rerolling system. I've got a okay one. It's an anti-armor one though. Yeah, Tesla Lover's most shining thing is it's the best weapon to use Tormentor with, because you'll cripple a massive crowd. It's not the most damaging. It's not really that powerful. It's kind of glitchy. Mm. And they've slightly worked on it, and it still drops random ammo. I'll just say that though. There's some other weapons I can definitely say they're really overpowered though, but people just don't know why. So, one weapon people think like a commando weapon is the railway rifle. Now, you would think like, oh, it's overpowered and such because of this and the other. It's overpowered because of the mechanic system it has function for the weapon. With this recent update, they actually nerfed some of it. It's still powerful, but nowhere near as much as it was. It was nerfed. It was hit hard. I actually went and tried to justify some kind of nerf for it. They did do some things, a little bit more AP cost, but and a few other things. But anyways, the reason why it's so powerful is because of a very simple aspect, and that aspect is, let's pretend these are legs. I aim at one leg, direct same path, okay? Boom! Now, boom. Other one gets hit as well. That's why. Because it keeps hitting targets along a path. Anything along the path gets hit. Like one body, poof, hit another body, poof. Now, when you get enemies with multiple hit points between certain things, you'll get hit more. So this is the reason why certain enemies have 4 or 5 hit points in between a single line. And those are the ones that get hit the hardest. This is the reason why, like, the Encrypted gets hit hard. It's because they're aiming for the combat inhibitor, and they're hitting the. If you're aiming for the side, you're actually hitting the left arm, the torso, the combat inhibitor, and yeah, you can see what's going on. This is the reason why when aiming with a railway rifle on some things, headshots aren't always the best. But now this is not the only weapon that's like this. So at least from mechanics wise, was not in Fallout 4. This is totally new. This is something in Fallout 76. Now the harpoon gun doesn't have this, which I think is an error. I think the harpoon gun is terribly diminished, and because of this aspect, I think that the harpoon gun's missing this context thing, and I think it should actually have this mechanic just to make it better in line. Still a niche, but it'd be better. But now the railway rifle isn't, like I said, the railway rifle is not the only weapon like this. There's only one other weapon that I'm aware of that has the same functionality, and that is the flamer. And this is the reason why you never want to use vaporization on a non-legacy flamer. It's because you want the range. You want the range because that way you can actually hit multiple targets. And this is like when I argue like don't use vaporization on the flamer, and because of that. So you'll get further range out, which means more spread on the damage. So you do, say, fight against, say, the Scorchbeast Queen. Okay. Scorchbeast Queen. It is far superior to use a standard than a vaporization. Now, the argument about the vaporization and, the barrel, whatever. Oh, yeah, I gotta get the range and that's and the other. Like, I'll be straight up frankly with you, though. The vaporization is nothing more than a brush fire. You're just. It's supposed to be short. It's not supposed to be some long flame. No. It's supposed to split the thing out. It's, the best example is like a gun torch, I guess? No way. Kind of. Or no, actually, that'd be a terrible example. It is. What's the best way to describe it? I do think that the vaporization is more of a vapor. So, if anything, more of a vapor is more of a mist out. It doesn't really seem it should be really having an insane range. Like, literally, when I hear people say some stuff they had to do to a flamer to make it have more range with a vaporization nozzle, that just sounds like an exploit to me. And I call it that, but that's just me. But as for functionality, now this is promotion for growth and not that, because the fact of developer can think one thing and another, but promotion and growth for the community is a different story versus reality and such. So because I've actually used a flamethrower in real life, I've actually used a torch, so it's more of a torch than an actual flamethrower. That's at least for the vaporization. In reality, to be really honest, the standard should be more powerful than vaporization, which I always find weird. Like, but then again, technically the standard is more powerful. Technically, I don't know. But I do think if it's going to be shorter range, it should have more better damage output, though, at the cost of the range. Just a slight. I don't know. But then again, this recent update they did for the range, the formulation, the damage formulation and such for the flamer, I don't exactly agree with, though, because it did buff it in various situations where I feel it is too OP. That's my thought. And when I say this is coming from someone that could solo the queen with this build for this power armor character. It's a heavy gun power build, so yeah, of course. And by the way, just gonna straight up say, I do not do bloody builds whatsoever. Everyone has their crap and such about bloody and such, so I don't really find them to be. What's the best way to put it? Kind of where a dead DPS does no DPS. That's the best way to put it. And a floor mat won't do anything for the DPS. As they put it. But yeah. But as for full health builds, part about full health builds and such though is like there's a versatility with each build, like full health, bloody, whatever, and such. So the bloodies are more fragile, so you can be able to do more damage, and but that full health and such, so you can do beyond that. But I guess for full health, I've seen more variety of builds for full health than bloody. I don't know. I do hope they fix the Alien Disintegrator though with this event. There's a current bug with the Disintegrator though. Reminds me of an old bug from Fall 4 with the Gauss weapons. And in fact, Gauss weapons in that game would actually follow where you look. This is the reason why that weapon was not good. But now here's another thing to think about. Like when it comes to like this is it's usually full health builds, but there's various ones you can think of as status builds and such. So Cryolator's one. Tesla Leper one I'm using the Tormentor as an example where you cripple limbs. It's a sort of status effect build, whatever, you know. You can encounter a bunch of stuff though, and but there's a bunch of things you can think about, but what's the best way to put it? Besides, well, aliens bug where they're not being crippled, but every enemy works well enough. Although, for status effects, I know stuff like daily ops enemies cannot be crippled, so it's pointless to try to cripple an enemy in daily ops. There's no point in Tormentor in daily ops. Just a heads up. But I will admit, though, enemies in daily ops are affected by cryolators. Any freezing attacks they will be affected by. And just a heads up, though, freezing effect is a per hit thing. So technically, this is one time I can actually say that two shots actually better at because effect will make enemies freeze quicker. But that's just for the effect. Just up a fire. Freezing isn't really that powerful, generally speaking. So, yeah. But at the same time, you can also get someone like a Scorchbeast Queen frozen in like practically no time with a two-shot faster fire rate Cryolator. Because you really try to get the ticks on it though. And just an FYI, Quick Reload doesn't work on a Cryolator. I realized that real quick. If you're having the mutations and on a team with Stranger Number and all that, yeah, you're not going to get the bonus. Same thing as Railway Rifle. Railway Rifle doesn't work for quicker reload. I guess that's a few things that I have to work on, I guess. Not the only thing to work on, though. There's other things I think more pressing than that. But it's something I keep thinking about as well. The amount of exploits in Fallout 76. There's been a lot of exploits and such, though. I'm not gonna accept it as if it's a right thing to do, though. Mostly because of the fact of, I'll say though, when it comes to a bunch of the dupes and such, so a lot of them cause server instabilities or various errors among players, and back in the day and such, so people would try to do these dupes so many times they would brick people's quest lines because of this. It took them a year and a half to fix like one or two of my quests because of the problem with that. And still, like when new like quest lines and such you go with like the Brotherhood or the Wastelanders, I wound up actually going to private worlds because I knew if I put it in public, they act up because people. Not everyone's like that though, but some stuff that people think is harmless and such really isn't as harmless as you think because of some egregious things, I guess, to him. That's like people trying to extend their clip on their weapon more than they should be having, like 5 rounds or whatever. But so here's a thing about that though. So weapons like that can also cause audio issues among players, and it keeps adding up and such. So okay, and stuff like that can cause people to crash or hard crash on some things. So you're dragging or whatever, or whatever you're using, will cause that same issue. We'll keep hearing it. Gives you away though, actually. The fun fact. Or not so fun fact, I guess. Although on some weapons like quad Teslas, it does the same thing, so you can't even tell on some things. But yeah. There is some other exploits I would love to get resolved, or I guess it's a bug thing. Like when it comes to stuff like the play, well, see, people always keep thinking that if they get something stolen from their stash, that's always a player vendor bug and such. So, but it's not always the player vendor. Just a heads up. Anything that can interact with your stash, punch bowl, candy bowl, anything like that is a bug. A lot of us been asking for Bethesda to literally link those things not to our stash. The any items in that thing should not be even linked whatsoever to stash because of the problematic of that. And the problem about the those stash still exploit things is a lot of it's unintentional, and they won't even be the wiser knowing that they're not that. But like stuff like item drop skins, you'd think that it was protect, and I can say no, that isn't true. Well, it's not always true though, and I can say that, and that's a disappointing thing. I'm just saying I've lost stuff from that, but I haven't used a player vendor in a while. But I do look at people's vendor machines, just peruse, even just look, and I can sometimes see unintended weapons in vending machines. Got a Gauss pistol, Gauss shotgun, Gauss minigun. Got someone has a bunch of T65 pieces in their thing. Like what? But yeah, it's kind of weird. I gotta definitely say this is not the most buggiest game I've ever played, and I could definitely say you find way more awesome people than you find bad people. Like for all the online games I ever encountered and such, so I don't think I really see as many friendly people as I've actually encountered in Fallout 6. And it's refreshing. Like people actually will care about you. Say, "Hey, how you doing? How's your day?" This on the other. People are very chipper, friendly. Although most people are kind of just go about do their own things. Or things got some challenges or got quests or maybe they want explorations or they're doing treasure maps or who knows what. Maybe they're role playing. Maybe they're doing house building. Maybe they're trying to do some tour guide or something. I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff, and I guess a bunch of us have our own things we do. And of course, there's always the discussions. There's the Bethesda Discord as well, and I could definitely say there's some really awesome people there. You might find some people to jabber with. Like a LFG thing. There's a section half for bug reports too. I still recommend actually the submit tickets thing. Support thing is still broken for me, but looks like they're basically using Discord though for it though. But anyways, I will say this though, and this is like every single day, and I've been actually looking every single day, even to this day. There's a single topic that's always been talked about every single day on Discord. One of these days we'll get it, and that is pizza. Seriously. Every single day there's a discussion about pizza, wanting pizza in Fallout 76. I've been paying attention. It's like, then again, it's been on every day on the Discord, but it was actually every single day or every about every day and such on the Bethesda forums when that was a thing. It's just how how a forum will work is basically it can be overlooked. That's the problem, and people will just make slight comments about pizza. It wasn't until the score came out and then everyone seen it, and then it became more popular because of Discord. But now it's, I guess, instead of being a Discord, now it's more of a cord. Or something. Yeah, it's not a better mind. But yeah, eh. Um, but if you ever want to try, Fallout 76, there's also on Xbox game. It's on Game Pass. I do recommend it on Xbox more than PC. PC side always has a really nefarious problem with X and such injected items and such. So a lot of that stuff's like you don't really see it on Xbox side though. Not for injected items. Not really. Nowhere near like PC. Consoles apparently extremely rare. It has happened, but it's rare. Like of all the games I've ever known, this is like the one that I know is most rare. It's kind of ironic, but yeah. I mean, who knows? At least we could definitely say with the coming future for Fallout 76, we got stuff like the pit. We got various events coming up though, and it's like what? There's a UPTS thing about that for like test metal, eviction notice, Moonshine Jamboree. Like Moonshine Jamboree, supposedly is going to be helping with Raider Rep, and the eviction notice will be helping with Settler Rep. For people trying to build up a reputation with that stuff. Now, here's the thing. I'll say though, for the whole reputation grinds and such though in Fallout 76, the real struggle is not the reputation grind. The real grind is actually gold bullion. It's always going to be gold bullion because you need more gold bullion than reputation. Everything else is like it's always going to be the gold bullion is the worst. But that's the thing in the game. You play to have fun. You can be in this game like you can just like go for a massive experience, but this is my suggestion. Try not to focus too much on experience though, like farming, because a lot of the massive experience farming though will burn you out, and I'm not even joking. You can get several hundred levels in a day; it will burn you out, and it just any game that you can massive experience farm, it just something about them just like it mentally drains you. It's like nothing I know, but Yeah, and hopefully this time this year we'll be able to participate in the pit, and hopefully that'll be a blast. Kind of interested in the pit, and there's still curious about that spy spot in the pit. Just missing lore I've always been curious about. But maybe I might make another part 2 in this, though. Expand some other thought process things on whatever. By the way, if you're curious about where to get the holiday for the guided meditation, it's over the Palace Summoning Path. It's called Pillar of Transcendence. You have to done Rose's quest line. Yeah. And for Sugar Grove, about for the back entrance, the key to the front is actually in the there's a mainframe room and like that. On the back end, left hand side, there's a little coffee shop thing. You'll see, yeah, there's that, and one of the keys you'll need for there is also, well, you don't really need it, but it's in Huntersville. Red Star, second floor, under this bed thing. Climb the tree, falling over or whatever, like this, basically. But yeah. Oh, and if you ever see any numbers or anything on objects, feel free to crack them. Everything means something, even the weird stuff. Even though some of it's just,